Welcome back to my review of Escaping Emotional Abuse, written by Lauren Matthias. This is episode 3, and I'm going to be covering chapters 3, 4, and 5 today. So let's get started with chapter 3, Searching for My Lighthouse in the Storm. The time frame for this chapter is August of 2013. This is 5 months after Lauren and her husband had been married. She had flown from Utah to Boston, and they were heading to their new apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The plans were that the husband was going to be attending either MIT or Harvard. It's not clear which. And Lauren was going to be taking, auditing some classes and educating herself about the nonprofit world. She had just given up her job in Salt Lake City and was ready to launch into a different career. After her husband had picked her up at the airport, he took her on a road trip, and hence the title, about a lighthouse. We see a picture of Lauren standing in front of a rocky coastline, and there is a lighthouse in the back. And Lauren starts out this chapter by talking about how her husband was telling her how beautiful she was. And as they got back into the car after this side trip to head to their new apartment, there was really a lot of hope in Lauren for their future, and she tried to express these positive feelings towards her husband. She got emotional and started crying, but it was truly happy tears about their future. Lauren writes that her husband told her that she needed to stop crying. He really couldn't continue this marriage if she cried all the time, and he really just couldn't handle her tears. The next thing she knew, he said, "I'm taking you to the airport." Even though they were supposed to be going to this new apartment, on the first day, they're already having an argument, and he's taking her back to the airport. He tells her, "I don't want to invite you into my world here. I don't even want you to see the apartment. I'm taking you to the airport. I don't even want you to be around here like this." So Lauren says, "Take me to the airport." And as they get near the airport, her husband starts crying, even though he had just said how much he hated her tears, says what a bad childhood he had, and she forgives him. And they go on to their new apartment together. Lauren talks about this argument as being really a pivotal moment that's so early in their marriage. There were so many red flags and disappointments. And she talked about this story of her husband immediately heading her back to the airport in the interview in the Mormon Story podcast. And we really start to see this pattern of red flags. Lauren really feeling like, love will conquer everything. Seeing that they really just are not aligning in what their futures could be, and the disappointments, yet she continues to forgive him. And this is really just kind of the start of that pattern. Chapter 4, Leaving for a New Story. This chapter starts out with Lauren talking about how her whole life she had dreamed about being a mother a wife, the white picket fence, fixing meals for her kids. This was a lifelong dream of hers. And as she was looking at being age 33 and almost 34, she wondered if this was going to happen with her husband. So, as you remember from the last chapter, they did go back to their apartment, the new apartment that the husband had picked out, after Lauren had forgiven him for what he had said, after he cried and, asked for her forgiveness and, talked about how, he loved her and how he wanted to be with her. We go back to the apartment, and on the first night they are there, the husband says that they have been invited to a dinner party. So Lauren put on a nice outfit and came out and immediately was asked by her husband to change her clothes, that she was dressed way too formal. They go to the dinner party and Lauren seems to have a good time. She's meeting some of her husband's friends, but something apparently happened at the party. It's unspoken by Lauren. It's not really obvious to her from what she says what happened at the party. But after they come home from the party, there's several days of silence from her husband. Finally, on the fourth day of this silent treatment, he tells her he thinks they would be better off apart. And can she get her old job back? Lauren starts crying, which starts another several days of silence. This time, Lauren breaks the silence. She wants kids. She wants a family. And I wanted to read just a little bit. Let me go to page 20. And she told him, I want children. I want a family. I want a companion who is looking forward to starting this next chapter with me. Her husband looked at her and said, Lauren, I want children too. I just don't know if I want your children. Of course, this was devastating to Lauren, and she decides that she's going to leave him. She starts packing to leave, finds her husband's credit card, and buys a ticket. She tells him that she's going to be leaving. As she's heading to the airport, and as she arrives at the airport, she gets a phone call from her husband. Where are you? She tells him. I told you I was leaving. I am at the airport. Her husband, again, starts with the crying, begging her to stay, begging her to forgive him. But this time Lauren says no. She flies to Salt Lake City and then on to the Dominican Republic, where she spends 2 weeks with a Mormon missionary friend of hers who has 2 children. She promises her friend that she's going to divorce her husband. She has a wonderful time with her friend and then flies to Tucson, where her aunt Ruth Ann, the beloved aunt that we were introduced to before, lives. Again, promising that she's going to divorce. Chapter 5, Traveling Through the Waves of Shame. This is a very short chapter and starts out with Lauren reminiscing about her wedding day and really the gratitude that she has for how her community supported her. Her family was really in no position financially to host such an event, but we see a picture of Lauren surrounded by many beautiful bridesmaids, We see her with beautiful flowers. We talked about the wedding dress previously, and Lauren details just again how kind everyone was to really make a very special day for her. Lauren then goes on to talk about while she was in the Dominican Republic, she got an email from a longtime family friend, neighbor from where she grew up, who reached out and wondered if Lauren would like to talk. In the book, their personal messages are shared. Lauren responding to the neighbor about that she would really love to talk to her. She was in the Dominican Republic, and that she really wasn't very happy. The neighbor pointed out to her the red flag that at this point, so early in the marriage, to be unhappy was truly concerning. And Lauren talks about how important this email was to her. And we start to see in the book where I feel that Lauren was laying a path for this book to be somewhat of a self-help book. She states, "I feel lucky to have had those who did understand. To those who need that last bit of encouragement, please know that this email from my friend is for you too. You are a treasure and deserve to be treated that way. Please know this, no matter what others say." That was the beginning of a repeating theme throughout the book where Lauren tries to